I think the assistants talked today, and one of them said that Desmond was really crucial, will be crucial for Atlanta recruiting. How important is this area basketball-wise, and what kind of impact are you hoping to make here?
Well, it really is, because I think that when you really start out with a recruiting philosophy, you have to really designate what is home, and you look at it in terms of not state lines necessarily, but radius and where you want to get into. And there's no question this has to be a priority to us, being able to get into Atlanta, the surrounding areas. And everyone that's been in coaching for a long time knows that this is a very fertile ground and that you've got to be able to get to it.
Were you familiar with Atlanta when you were at Clemson? Did you recruit here?
Very much so. We did. We spent a lot of time in this area, and one of our first recruits out here was a young man by the name of Tom Weidman that came and had a terrific career at Clemson, and actually had a big part to us being able to get that program going the way we did there. And so there's no doubt that from days gone by we spent a lot of time in this area.
You've announced another signee since we saw you last time. What can you tell us about Kyle Alexander?
Well, he's a player just a lot like Ray that we're excited about, because we knew we needed to get some size. We knew that, and we're excited with Kyle for a lot of reasons. One, he's got length. He's terrific hands, quick off the ground, a great second, third jump. Hasn't been playing very long, but he's got some great blood in his family, and the fact that he's got a sister who plays in the WNBA. His father played Division I basketball, but the one thing we talked to him about was wanting it all, and not just as a player, but what he can bring in terms of helping us really to build a culture that we want to build at University of Tennessee. And so we're excited about him in a lot of different areas.
We've seen you now sign, going back to your time at Texas, you've signed several players from Canada. How have you developed kind of that pipeline into Canada over the years?
Well, it really goes back to our assistants. Both Rob and Desmond are up in both grew up, born in Buffalo. They knew that, but even before that, we've just had the philosophy that we'll go wherever we see players that we think that will fit, and we've been fortunate to be able to sign a Tristan Thompson, a Corey Joseph, a Mike Kabongo, and now these two guys. And so we're really again, we've had success with it. And what we love about those guys, they have a great passion, great work ethic, and they're very serious about going to work every single day. And the fact is, they're serious about getting a degree as well. And but we just love what the Canadian players that we've been able to coach and recruit have been able to do for us.
Just how big was size to get that in the spring period, especially knowing you had a couple of transfers? Was that kind of item number one coming in this spring?
Well, everyone talked about a point guard, and we know the importance of having a point guard, but we also knew we had to get some size and some length. And so with that said, the returning players that have had some quality minutes, we know that those guys are going to play valuable minutes for us, but we did want to begin to put into place that so you do have to have some length, no question about it. And so that was as much a priority as it was to look for a point guard.
One of the assistants said today that Toronto is to basketball recruiting now what New York City was 5 years ago. Do you agree with that?
I would agree that when I was up there, when we went up to look at Kyle, you have to be impressed with what they're doing with their grassroots program. Years ago, all the good players would be coming to the United States and find a school, but now they've got, again, the grassroots program and what they've put in place. They've done a great job with the school there, where they're, I don't know what it is about Canadians, but they have a tremendous passion to work and get better, and just a real seriousness about them, where they go at it. And now that I think there's even been more of an emphasis on their international Olympic type programs, because they go back. I mean, there have been some terrific Canadians for a long time that have come out of Canada years gone by, and but it's only getting better. And if you go up there, you can't help but be impressed.
As opposed to places like Atlanta, where everyone nearby recruits it, is Canada maybe a little bit under-recruited too? Is that part of it maybe?
Well, I'm not sure anywhere is under-recruited, really, when you think about it today, because if word spreads that a Tennessee's recruiting somebody, you can bet there's going to be a group coming in behind. All you have to do is make a phone call and ask the question, you know, who all's involved, and if a certain school's involved or certain schools, everybody's coming. And but the fact is, it gets down to evaluation. I think there's enough players out there for every program. You just got to know what you're looking for, what you like, what fits into your culture, and that's where I'm in love with my staff, because the fact is, I mean, we're like anybody else. We look at the recruiting services, but we're going to make the evaluations on our own. We'll get names, and we're going to chase guys, and we're going to follow guys, and we're going to know who the players are, but we're not going to just say that's it. We're going to keep digging and kind of mining and coming up with who we think, and again, we feel like we've got two players that's going to play a big part in what we're trying to get started.
You have talked a lot about scheduling, how important that is. How close do you think you are? It's getting to the point where some schools are announcing their non-conference schedules. How close do you think you are to be at that stage?
I think we're close. I do. I think that we're. It's details in getting contracts in place, and you know, there's things you work through from how TV games could be officiating. It could be tickets. It could be a lot of things. But we're close. But it's just really now, you know, dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
Being in Georgia, Shambari is from here. How do you see him working in your system, and how well have you gotten to know him since you came aboard?
Well, I was really impressed. Just a few days or maybe a week after we got on campus, you know, he and his mom drove up and spent some time, and he really impressed me. His mom really impressed me too, and the fact that you know, that they would take the time to come do that, because I know how this works. I'm sure there were coaches, once there was a coaching change, saying you don't want to play for a guy that didn't recruit you, which, you know, I really respect them enough that they chose the University of Tennessee because they love the University of Tennessee, but they took the time to come up, and my assistants had also come down here and met with them, but they wanted to come up, and so I really respect him for that, and so we're excited, and he certainly has a great opportunity to come in and make the kind of impact that we need him to make, and so what he's doing right now, what he's going to be doing during the summer is going to be really, really important to him and to us.
Oh, sorry.
Two more.
Along that line of scheduling, how do you balance, say, trying to get a certain number of quote-unquote RPI games, but also trying to have some games against D1 programs within your state?
Well, I do think there's a philosophy that you have to have, and what we have always tried to do is, if you go back and look at the best teams year in and year out in college basketball, you look at their schedules and you see, okay, what's the common denominator there? And there were times, like when we went to Clemson, we played we were told we're going to be the worst team in the history of the ACC, and we knew that couldn't happen, so we had our first year of the non-league schedule was not a great schedule. But I do know this, that if you want to be an NCAA team, and when it comes to Selection Sunday, if you're a team that's right there on that bubble, and if you don't get in because of your non-league schedule, you have no one to blame but yourself. And I do think if you want to be a national program, you've got to play a national schedule. Now, we would love to, like this year, you know, what we're working on right now, we would have loved to have had some more home games, but where we want to take the program to get some games in place, we were willing to say, okay, we'll go on the road this year, knowing that we're going to get it going, and give us a chance to maybe start some other series on the road. But we're going to play a national schedule. And in terms of, you know, what our non-league schedule, you know, depending on the SEC, you know, Big 12 Challenge, that's a game. The exempt tournaments, but the games that we have to come with, the bye games, we want to, again, mirror the best programs in the country, and most teams, if you look at, they really have, I would call, 5 bye games where they're going to bring teams in, and I think that would be the ideal thing, and you need some of those games, you really do, but scheduling it is an art in itself, and how does it flow, how does it work around exams and everything, and again, we're doing some things this year that if we had our druthers, we'd probably maybe do a little bit different, but to get it going, we're willing to do some things to get it going.
And then, sorry if I didn't ask, but like a neutral site game in Nashville, would that be something that you'd be?
Yeah, we're going to do that. You know, we're working out the deals with Gonzaga. I mean, there's no doubt that. But again, this year we'll have to go there. You know, and you know, and again, that Mark Few, who I have great respect for, and we've known each other. You know, we've scrimmaged them every year that I was at Texas. Once we were able to start scrimmaging, and we've either met in Denver or Arizona. We've met somewhere and we've scrimmaged, and now that we're further apart, we're going to play. And you know, he has a tournament up there in Seattle, Battle in Seattle. I think it's around the 20th. They'll return it back to Nashville, and I would not be opposed to playing a neutral game here in Atlanta. You know, I would love to get the series going with Memphis every year, and if there's a way we could play in Memphis, we need to play in areas where we have alumni. We need to do that, but we also want to make sure we're playing in areas that we're going to recruit hard, and whether it be on the East Coast, and once you get it going, you know, TV becomes such a big part of your schedule because they're going to start wanting to put matchups together, and so it's important that we have the kind of success that people will want to play, and TV would want to put us there.